The Bengals go down in Washington, finish the preseason winless, and it doesn't matter because who cares about preseason records? That said, I have plenty to discuss and react to following the Bengals' 21-19 loss in Washington. Hi again, everyone, and welcome in to Cincinnati Bengals Talk. I'm James Rapien of allbengals.com. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and it's finally here. Preseason football is over, which means that the regular season is just 15 days away, maybe 14, depending on when you're watching this. Most of you probably watching Saturday night, Sunday morning, but make sure you keep it locked right here throughout Cut Down Day, all season long for sure, but throughout Cut Down Day, because we're going to have you covered, whether it's Frank Pollock on Sunday with Elise Jesse one-on-one discussing offensive line play in this Bengals offensive line, the state of it going into the regular season, or my 53-man roster projection, which is probably going to need to be tweaked at least a little bit following tonight's game, and that'll happen on Monday. Tuesday will be cut down. So plenty coming your way from a Bengals roster perspective. Obviously, we're on Joe Burrow contract watch as well. But let's dive into tonight's game in Washington. The Bengals got off to a quick start, and Jake Browning, to me, has clearly separated himself from Trevor Siemian. There are a few clues here. One, Browning only needed 2 drives, and they pulled him out of the game. Usually when guys get pulled out of the game, it means they're valuable. But before I get to the quarterback battle, let's talk about the guy who I'm surprised was in the game to begin with. Joseph Ossai suffered a right ankle injury on the Bengals' first defensive possession. And the defensive end, third year out of Texas, it felt like he was coming into his own and going to be a real problem for opposing offenses this year. We will see if that's still the case, but he left today with an ankle injury. Zach Taylor said he wasn't sure exactly what the injury was, could just be a sprain. But Osai's dealt with injuries throughout his career. And so I'm surprised that not only was he dressed for tonight's game, but that he played in tonight's game. And so afterwards, Zach Taylor was asked about why Ossai was in there, and he said he needed the reps. And I think there are some that would say, no, he didn't, and hold him for week one. But this is why you don't play your starters, right? And Ossai isn't a starter, but people are up in arms about it. That's why I've defended Zach Taylor every step of the way when it comes to this offense. You don't play Orlando Brown Jr. By the way, our 2-part interview is up right now. Make sure you check it out after you finish this video. You don't play key linemen or key receivers in a game like this. All right. So that said, we'll give you the latest on Joseph Ossai when we have it, but hopefully it's something minor and he can be ready to go for week one, 15 days away as we record this right now. That said, Jake Browning, to me, is clear head and shoulders above Trevor Siemian in this quarterback competition. He was on the field for 2 drives. Siemian was on the field for 6 drives. Browning finished 6 for 6 for 42 yards, had a 135 quarterback rating, found Andre Joseph on a nice back shoulder throw, 25 yards on the first drive. Also found Joseph for a 7-yard touchdown. Joseph is gritty. I think Jamar Chase is going to be critical of it, say it needs some work. That said, I know people are excited about him, and they should be. The rookie from Princeton can clearly play. Speaking of rookies, I thought Charlie Jones showed me something tonight. 3 receptions, 3 targets, 32 yards, took big hits on 2 of those 3 targets and catches. I think he's going to be just fine. I know he's working his way through that shoulder issue. I think he's going to be fine there. But quarterback-wise, Siemian, I thought he had his best outing late in the second quarter. I was like, man, if he goes and scores a touchdown, it makes it real interesting. And he was pushing the ball down the field. And I think that was the difference tonight. He finished 14 of 23 for 133 yards and a quarterback rating of just over 58 or just under 59 rather, because of the interception he threw. He was really trying to push the ball into the end zone. And I don't know if he just knows that Browning is ahead of him and that he's trying to impress the rest of the NFL to show he can still do it. I'm not sure. I do think that him being out there for 6 drives was certainly interesting and clearly a telltale sign that Browning is ahead of Siemian in the competition. And that's what my eyes tell me. Not that I'm going wild about Browning. I think the Bengals will certainly spend some time looking at quarterbacks and who could potentially get cut across the NFL, what deal could potentially be had. Reed Sinnett, and it is Sinnett, made his Bengals debut tonight, 6 of 11 for 77 yards and a touchdown, a quarterback rating of 107. It was a broken coverage where Cedric Jackson just ran downfield. Honestly, I really think Andrew Fox Miller could have found me for that one. And That's me complimenting Andrew. I don't think Andrew is necessarily the best quarterback in the world. I definitely would have been open downfield. Jackson, all he did was run through, and it was a great way to cap off a nice preseason for Jackson. I think he's certainly their top target receiver wise for the practice squad. Of these young guys, a Trent Taylor is certainly someone they would love to have on the practice squad. He's a veteran, and that's much different though than a guy like Jackson, who again, 3 receptions, 56 yards, had the 34-yard touchdown, like I mentioned. Chase Brown, I thought he was good tonight, and he would be someone. Finished 11 carries, 39 yards. It doesn't pop, but I thought he was. I thought he was running hard and certainly showed something. That said, just going through, and I'm going to get the defense in a second, I promise. As far as offensive line, Jackson Carman out there a decent amount of time. Deontay Smith out there in the first half went down with a right. Or no, it might have been left. Left, it was left actually. Now that I remember, left forearm, left wrist injury. We'll see exactly what issue that is. Certainly something to monitor. But the last thing on offense, and my guy was balling. Tanner Hudson. 4 receptions, 42 yards. Would have had another catch, a long catch for a first down from Jake Browning. So Browning's numbers would have looked much better if Trey Hill didn't get called for a face mask on the second drive of the game. And it kind of doomed that drive. It put him in 3rd and 18. Was never going to happen. But I thought Browning looked good. Hudson might be the perfect Irv Smith Jr. backup. Like, I know the Bengals like Mitch Wilcox and the versatility he provides. They really like Drew Sample and his versatility. But neither one of those guys give you, in my opinion, what Irv Smith gives you, obviously. And so if Irv Smith Jr., who's dealt with injuries in his career, goes down, it would be nice to have a guy like Tanner Hudson in his pass-catching ability, have him out there. Not to say that Mitch Wilcox can't do some of that, because I think he can. But I think Hudson, man, he was nice tonight. Nice back shoulder adjustment, catch and run. You could see it. He even had a nice cut block. And so I think Hudson certainly making his case for the 53-man roster as well. Let's get to the defense, because this defense, there's a lot of guys. And whether it's Dominique Davis, and he had a quarterback hit, 8 combined tackles, a sack. I mean, he was all over the field. He really was. He was a guy that you noticed, even on the hit on the sidelines, where I know a lot of people are going to say it was dirty or whatever the case is. I'm not here to be the judge and jury on that. It drew a penalty. I think it's borderline. I'm not sure if it helps his cause or not. I don't really see a roster spot for him, but I do think the Bengals would love to put him on the practice squad. And so we'll see if that happens. Raymond Johnson III, another guy. You just notice him. And if Ossai is out, I think Johnson has a shot to make this team. And obviously, if Ossai is out extended time like that, what they would do is Ossai would make the team initially. They would put him on injured reserve and then bring back Raymond Johnson III. But yeah, he's a disruptor. Had a nice pass breakup or pass defense at the line of scrimmage on the 4th down, Washington's first drive of the game. Had a couple of tackles, was in on a sack. Didn't get credit for it in the official game book. I'm looking at it right here, but was in on a sack. Jeff Gunter, another couple of quarterback hits and a sack. I mean, this defense, Owen Carney, a sack. They have a lot of guys that I think these defensive coordinators across the NFL are going to be evaluating to try to potentially add to their roster at some point. DJ Ivey, I thought he played well. I thought he was someone that needed a nice night like tonight, had 2 pass breakups, 4 tackles to almost secure his spot on this roster. Overall, preseason is done, and I can't end this video without talking about my guy, Money Mac. Yes, I coined that during the early Evan McPherson days on Locked On Bengals, and it has stuck, and it certainly applies to him this preseason. 8 for 8, including a 58-yarder tonight. 8 for 8 throughout the preseason. The 58-yarder was tonight. He was 2 for 2. He's perfect. I mean, the 59-yarder he kicked last year was a Bengals record. He's going to break that this year. I'm confident in that. I think he's poised for a huge year. I think Evan McPherson is going to etch his name among the elite kickers in the league. And by elite, I mean Justin Tucker and then Evan McPherson and everybody else. I think that's kind of the conversation we're going to have a year, well, maybe not even a year from now, 6 months from now, mid-season, end of season. I expect big things from Evan this season. So we'll see. He certainly delivered in the preseason and looks poised for a huge year. New cut, by the way. You like it? I needed it. It was about time. Fresh haircut, fresh fade for Andrew Foxmiller's fantasy draft tomorrow, where you better believe I got to bring the heat because I finished second last year and I'm kind of angry about it still. Can you tell? For Andrew Foxmiller, our channel coordinator, I'm James Rapien. Like I said, Frank Pollock on Sunday, one-on-one with Elise Jesse. My 53-man roster projection on Monday, cut down day on Tuesday with instant reaction, and then boom, it is regular season, back at practice on Wednesday, monitoring Joe Burrow and so much more. Hit that subscribe button. Do me a favor. Tell a Bengals fan about us so they can hit that subscribe button. And until next time, I'm James Rapien. Thank you so much for watching Cincinnati Bengals Talk.